three different areas. One is heaven, and the planets, the constellation, the sun, they all have an effect on us. So chi is generated from the heavens, and chi is generated from the earth. From the bodies of water and the mountains, as they meet, they produce chi. Okay, so there are good mountains and there are bad, and I'll give you some examples of good and bad forms. And then also yourself, you also have chi, and we calculate it through a formula. Each one of you belong to a hua. You have your own personal, you're one of the 5 elements, so let's just put it that way. But it's really interesting when you start studying this and you realize there's a connection between the environment and you. So the teachings of classical Feng Shui says that when there's a good flow of qi, it's very desirable that you're receiving throughout the land and on your property, you're receiving benevolent qi. And the good thing about it, the good results of this, of receiving benevolent qi, is you feel better, you're more focused, you're calm, and you're better, you can achieve your goals, okay, if you have benevolent qi around you. And a lot of classical Feng Shui and the 5 arts, like Chinese martial arts and acupuncture, is based on the theory of yin and yang. And this is just a Taoist version of how life was created. And they started separating first everything started in a circle right there. So when a consultant comes to your home, they're carrying a lopan. And it tells us like formulas and everything, where all these things we can tweak to improve your life. But it was just a circle, all of life. And then came the Tai Chi, which is yin and yang. So yin is the dash line on top, right below the Tai Chi symbol. And yang is the solid line. From there, you got the 4 phases. After that, you have the 8 trigrams. So basically, the 8 trigrams are kind of like classical Feng Shui people use it as alphabets, almost like symbols, and we categorize things. So each of you belong to a trigram too. What happens is yin and yang forces always have to be in balance, and when they're not, it starts creating problems for people. Like if you have a home that's surrounded by too many trees, it becomes too yin, and what happens is it affects the occupants. They become more depressed. So you always have to have that balance. Think of if we always had nighttime, it wouldn't be good for the earth, right? We have to have day and night. So that day is yang and nighttime is yin. So they always have to kind of like be there and together and always working with each other. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is show you an example of bad Feng Shui or poor forms, okay? So right here, if you look at it, you should never pick a building that's so up close to the freeway, a monorail line. This is called a negative form near your building. I actually want to tell you, I went and Feng Shui. It's a friend's sister, and her husband had died and her son had died. The other son was sick, and she had a building that was even closer to the freeway. It was a 4-unit building, and she didn't understand why the male counterparts in her family, they were all either sick or they're dead. So I looked at, and it wasn't just the freeway, being so close to the freeway, which gives you a lot of cutting chi. It was also that the northwest corner of her house was missing, and that represented the husband or the eldest man in the house. And also there were a lot of other things, like her house was on a death and emptiness line, and that usually causes more bad luck, bad energy to enter the property. And so when I told her, she moved right away, and she did much better, and her son's he's not that sick anymore. So this is a negative form. The building near the highway, if you see such a building and you're thinking of investing in it, I wouldn't even invest in it. I'd look elsewhere. Okay, here's another this is called hanging wire shop. And this is an apartment building. And you should never pick a building where there's pylons around, because there's usually EMF problems. If you don't have a choice, but you have to live in a building that has droopy wires across it, so there's certain floors that are bad, and the ones that are bad are the ones that have the wires across it. If you have to pick the floor, pick the very top floor. That would be better, okay? But all the other floors below it, below the droopy wires, and if it goes across your floor, it's not that great to live in. You would be exposed to electromagnetic fields and feel tired and maybe eventually get cancer. So this is clearly a negative man-made form. Now I'm going to show you an internal Sha Qi. So Sha is negative energy that affects your focus, your health, and your energy. This is bad. This is really bad. And some people sleep and work under this type of ceiling. It has beams. And what it does is it distorts the qi that's flowing through. Qi is almost kind of like water. You know, it goes through and it gets distorted. And the person staying in this room, if they sleep there or spend a lot of time there, they're going to get kind of like an intense feeling of almost, they feel like pressure from the sloped roof ceiling, okay?
Is it the beams or is it the ceiling?
It's both, but the beams are worse. Yeah, if you have it like right over your reproductive organs or your stomach area, you could end up having digestive problems, you know, just sleeping under. And a lot of people have that and they sleep under these things, you know, but as far as classical Feng Shui is concerned, it's not a good thing, okay?
So sleep under. Cover the beams up.
Yes, if you can make the ceiling straight again, that would be better. Yeah, some people, like, they employ like putting wind chimes or something. I think the best thing to do is just cover it and have a straight ceiling instead of something like that.
It isn't the angle, it's the beam showing that you're talking about?
Well, you think about qi, it's like water, right? It's like water
so if you
running through the whole room,
okay?
And then it just hits the edge of the beam and it comes down on your body right away. It hits it hits right here. And it comes down like that if you're sleeping right under it. So you have.
So sheetrocking wouldn't solve it.
Yeah, it would.
I think it would because it's covered now.
But the angle too, though, right? It's the angle, right? It's better flat.
It's better to have it flat. Right. Yeah, the ceiling. Yeah. Than like that, exposed. Okay. Okay. Here's 2 examples of landforms that give off good qi, shang qi, which is the growing qi. This is the benevolent qi. Of course, it's always good to have an open courtyard. If you go to China, you see a lot of open spaces in the front of the building because they want the qi to settle and be less disruptive, and then slowly meander in and nourish the people. So they always, when a Feng Shui consultant comes and there's a lot of problems in the house, a lot of times they'll say, build a Ming Tong in the front, an open area so the qi can settle instead of coming straight in, like at a house with a street at the end of a cul-de-sac. You know, that's like the qi's rushing straight into the house. So they'll say, oh, okay, build a Ming Tong in the front, and then, you know, kind of block it off. You know, so, and that body of water is good because it's calm. It contains the body of water contains qi, and qi is what you want, especially the good qi. You want it around you because it really makes you productive and more focused. So these are examples of landforms that produce sheng qi, which is the growing qi, the good qi, okay? Okay, now we're gonna look at a neighborhood. Can you pick out a house on your block where you live? Do you live inside the bend, or at the end of a cul-de-sac, or on the cutting edge of the street? Because in classical feng shui, we look at streets, and because they're conveyors of qi. So we want them to nourish us. There's some houses that receive qi better than others. Okay, can you guys pick out a house that looks similar to yours? Does anyone want to pick out one?
Sure.
On a street? Which one? Which one?
That one.
This one?
No.
Right there,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to show you a next slide. No, actually, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm going to pick out the ones that are negative. They'll be circled in red, and then the ones in black aren't that great. And then the ones in green are fantastic. Okay, they receive the qi really well because the roads are conveyors of qi. Okay, in classical feng shui. And we actually look at the way that the street is curved toward your house, everything, that matters. So when you're looking for a house, the first thing you want to do is look at the neighborhood. How are the neighbors doing, okay? What is the history of the land? That's really important. You don't want to pick a place where, you know, there was a mental hospital for many years there, which a lot of people don't check the history, and it really makes, you know, it was a graveyard before, and they, you know, exhumed the bodies, and, you know, you got to have good landforms. Don't pick areas that are extremely windy. A lot of people pick the very top of the mountain, the houses, and they're extremely windy, and the qi can't settle and calm down to nourish you. And if you don't see landforms within a 3-mile radius of the building that you're thinking of investing in, don't look elsewhere. Okay, in a city environment, you won't see these landforms, so we start looking at the surrounding buildings. You want to look for that armchair effect around your house, where you have mountains behind and on the left and the right of you, because that's protected, and the center is where the qi collects. Pick streets where the buildings look similar in shape from yours. So if there's a peak roof line, make sure all your neighbors have peak roof lines, you know, and also the mountain, if you can get it to match. Remember I told you qi comes from forms, so the forms are supporting your house, the qi in your house. That's a feng shui secret that a lot of people don't know. And I wish I knew. So this next slide, I'm going to tell you now which areas are good in this neighborhood. So you see where it's green? Those are the good houses that can receive qi the best. Okay, this is inside the bend. This is like a straight street, and they receive it the best. This here, the street tends to curve outwards, and we call that the cutting edge. So they're not as good as the green. And they tend to have, the people that live in it tend to have fortunes that go up and down a lot. And then this here is not that great. This is at the end of a cul-de-sac, these homes. And the reason why it's not good is because all the qi accumulates here, and it has to be shared amongst the homes. And also the qi goes straight into the home instead of, like, you know, right here. It just, you know, it's just better, the straight street. So your building is actually in a pretty good placement. Right here, right? You said right here?
But in that one green area, though, that you had there's some flat top roofs and there's different, you know, configurations of houses in that one green area.
This here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It has nothing to do with, okay, it's true. You should pick houses that look similar in shape, the roof lines, to yours. Okay, you just don't want something that will take away. Like, for me, okay, I bought a fire shaped roof line, which is peaked roof line, and outside, all across a street from me, all the roof lines were flat, so that's earth. Earth reduces fire, so it's taking away from my house. And then I picked a metal mountain. You know, fire melts metal, so all the chi is leaking out of my house. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Do you understand a little more? Yeah, you want something that feeds you or something that looks the same. Even the mountains, make a difference.
So why are the houses circled in red bad?
Because remember, the streets are conveyors of chi, so it goes straight into these homes. And these homes all have to share the chi. So you want to receive the chi as best you can. And inside the bend, we're taught, these are the best homes. They're inside. You see the street? It's inside the bend of the street. It's not on the outside. These aren't that great. So these are Feng Shui secrets I'm showing you on how to pick land and also pick a house that receives chi really well. And it makes a difference in your life.
So they don't take into consideration whether your children get run over by a car or hitting a tricycle.
What, excuse me, sir? What did you say? Okay. So now we're getting near the end, and you know, if you look at the sheet that I gave you, and these are the flying stars. I am an affiliate member of Mastery Academy of Chinese Metaphysics, and Joey gave me this, and I'm making copies for you guys so you can see which areas you should not be doing construction with, doing any type of remodeling, renovation, and please don't do it, you know, and especially in the east side and the south. They have Shachi. You see the 5 there? That's the worst. And then the next worst is the east. You see where those X's are? Those are the areas you should not do any remodeling, and if you have to do it, you come to me and get a date to start it, where the Sha Qi is the weakest, at its weakest point. That's when you should, if you have no choice but to remodel the areas. What I tend to find is the remodeling or the renovation has a lot of problems. If you choose to hit those areas, they rotate. They don't stay in the same place all the time. Every year it's different. But this actually happened to me, and my sister-in-law was remodeling her house, and she got a date from thinking the general contractor knew how to pick dates. And he did pick a good date, but he didn't know about the afflictions, which are those 3 X's there. And they hit every single one of those afflictions. One thing after another went wrong. One thing after another, and her husband was saying, everything's going wrong. He was blowing up at the contractors, and because they hit those areas. The afflicted areas, it contains Sha Qi. Like I told you, it's a negative Qi, has no body, but it's there. It's present, and the Chinese knew about it for thousands of years. So, yeah.
So does this change from year to year?
Yes, it does. This is for the year of the rooster only. Okay, so if you're thinking about investments and doing well in your investments, the southeast is a great spot to be in. Place your desk there. Another good area is the northeast. The northeast is good because it has the 4 green, which is good for academics. I can't find my last set of notes. And so the good areas are southeast, north, and northeast just for this year, year of the rooster. Okay, and again, these numbers rotate. This year, the 1 is in the center. Last year, the 2 was in the center. So there's a pattern that it takes. So you can keep it. This shows you in detail exactly what you see there. Okay, so no construction in the east, the south, and the west. Try not to renovate or break ground there. And it can be quite deadly if they're tripled up together. I had a friend and her son committed suicide right before she was gonna go, and they were drilling Sand Hill Road in Menlo Park, drilling it. And I had to go out. When I came back, she couldn't come to Toronto with me to take courses. And we looked at her house, and she was a mess because her son had just killed himself. And there was a form, right? The form has to be there. It has to be a negative form to activate these energies, you know, and it was right there on his corner. It was right there, and it's always there for some reason. It's always there. It was a huge, like, cross, 2 poles together, and it was like pointing right into the son's room. And yeah, and she was upset because they were drilling 2 blocks up from where she lived. So yeah, these are really important to know as far if you're doing renovations in the house. Okay, and do you have any questions? I was going to do a little bit of astrology if people wanted to know, but there's not enough time. So if you do want to know, you could come back there and talk to me, and I'll tell you what's up for your animal sign. Okay? Yeah. Do you have a question?
You have an ad or a flyer out here for Joey Yap.
Yeah.
Can you give us just a short, what is this?
Okay, what it is every year Joey takes you to these, he is, oh God, he is just the top master in the whole world. If you have an opportunity to go any place with him, you will learn so much about Qi, and you'll actually feel it, and he'll take you to the most sacred places in the world, and you will see why the Chinese built homes the way they built it. And at all expenses paid, I think that's a good price if 2 of you chip in together. Yeah, that's something I am promoting. His tour, his courses. There's a beginner.
This is the course that teaches about.
There's courses coming up, and I am
to
his
teach
promoter.
Feng Shui.
It's on the course coming up. There's 2. There's one this Sunday, and it's called Qi-Man Academy. That's extremely powerful. You will learn methods where you sit somewhere and then actually it manifests whatever you ask for. He will teach you rituals. It's absolutely amazing. I'm taking it for a second time. I think he's amazing. You should go meet him. I have 1 more ticket for sale if anybody wants it. Otherwise, if nobody wants it in here, I'll just give it away in a drawing here if you want.
We have a raffle.
Yeah, there's a raffle drawing?
Yes.
Okay.
Where and when is this?
It's tomorrow, and it's sold out.
And where is it at?
It's at the Sheraton and Fisherman's Wharf. So if anybody wants it, it's $40. The retail right now is $97. If you want it. Yeah, and if nobody wants it, I could give it away in the raffle if you want. But it is tomorrow, the event. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.